It's Thursday, November 9. In the headlines in local news, Prime Minister speaks on economic growth. In business news, gas and diesel prices going down. Regionally, crucial tourism partnerships solidified in Barbados. Internationally, Hollywood actors celebrate tentative deal to end the strike. And in sports, West Indies women A team lose tri-series final to Pakistan. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Brittany Clark. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the manufacturing sector has played a major role in the growth of the Jamaican economy. Speaking yesterday at the official opening of Pepsi's new production line in Kingston this week, he noted that the increase in job creation is one indicator of economic growth.
In seeing so much human resources literally going to waste, it may seem as if the figures are not adequately capturing those persons. The truth is that, and I'm not intending to get into any lecture as to how unemployment is calculated, except to say that we haven't changed the way in which we have been calculating unemployment over the last 30 years when the numbers have been very high. It's the same metric that is used. What has changed is that the fiscal management of the country has created an environment of confidence in the business community, particularly as it relates to the stability in taxes.
The food, beverages, and tobacco sector in particular played a crucial role in economic growth, accounting for 25.3% of total exports in 2022, up from 13.5% in 2018. Prime Minister Holness welcomed the U.S. $30 million investment made by Pepsi in the region and in Pepsi Jamaica's new production line.
This is a great day for the company and for Jamaica. And it is a testament to the hard work and dedication of the team at Pepsi Jamaica. I would like to congratulate the management and staff of Pepsi Jamaica on this remarkable and bold leap forward as this facility increases production capacity by 60%.
He notes that the new development represents a 20% increase in jobs at the company.
Ladies and gentlemen, these jobs are not just statistics. They represent lives and livelihoods. They represent dreams and aspirations fulfilled. They represent economic independence. They represent social mobility. They represent human capital and skills.
Addressing a post-cabinet media briefing on Wednesday, during which he announced that a state of emergency had been declared for St. James, Holness also indicated a change in his stance against capital punishment, as he declared that every effort will be made to tackle the terrorists.
My own view on the penalty for murder has evolved. I was never a supporter of the death penalty. But the more I study this matter and begin to understand the minds of the criminals, there are no souls there. They have no heart. They need to be removed from among us. But I'm not here to get into a debate about the jurisprudence on this matter. But within the limits of that jurisprudence, I believe the highest penalty possible should be applied.
According to Mr. Holness, the government is determined to get the criminals involved in the deadly attacks that claimed the lives of 7-year-old Justin Perry, 9-year-old Nakaleva Smith, and 26-year-old Tevin Hale in a taxi in Salt Spring, St. James on Monday. Police theorize that the adult was the intended target.
What occurred is an act of terror. What is terror? It's a well-defined concept in law. It was clearly the intent to send a chilling signal. No matter where you are, who you are, or whether you're in public, or whether innocent people are around, they are going to kill you. And they will use any means to do it.
She was born in Gregory Park, Portmore, but was taken to Bogwalk when she was just a week old. Volunteering is in her blood. Miss Karen Sudu says she feels fulfilled when she is serving her fellow citizens, and it all started when she was a teen. We salute this passionate community hero.
Ms. Sadu says the idea of establishing True United Sisters came to her at age 17 as she observed her parents trying creative means to ensure the family's survival.
The vision was from age 17, but the establishment of the organization came 25 years after. I just got up one day and said, you know, it's full time now. This is dragging out too long. And I just started True United Sisters with some of my friends.
She says when it started, she would use her own money to send women to classes.
The JIS part of it also helped me to do what I'm doing today because I was the producer of a 5-minute feature called Roundabout JA. And as the name suggests, I had to go all over Jamaica to get stories and so on to highlight for Roundabout JA. So that too inspired me to volunteer and to do community work. But then I became so involved, it became such a big part of me that even when I left the JIS and I went to other agencies, I just couldn't focus on the work. I just wanted to go there and help people because there are so many persons who need assistance, so many persons who are unaware of their rights, you know, their opportunities and so on and so forth. So there was a time when I was working at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security as a public relations officer. I could not focus because some of my former co-workers, they couldn't understand why I was in this thing. And I can say it on camera. They even took my name to the permanent secretary to say all I talk about is True United Sisters.
Since then, the organization has grown. It even has a small chapter in Canada run by Mr. and Mrs. Orrit Smith.
This is our third location. But you talk about expanding. We have expanded the programs as well because when we started, we usually assist unemployed and unskilled women. Now we're working with young people. We work with senior citizens, the indigent, youth at risk. The My Students of the Month program now is geared specifically at students who are performing well, right? So what we do, we provide their lunch money and their bus fare for the month. So we might select 2 students for a month and we do that for them. We get the total cost and we would, provide that for them. So that's My Students for the month. Senior citizens, we have a program called Someone Cares. And this program is primarily for the seniors who don't have anybody in particular to care for them. So we place them on the program. They might be hypertensive, they might be diabetic, they might be visually impaired, whatever kind of disabilities. We place them on the program. Sometimes we'd go to their homes, we'd clean their houses, provide whatever they need, groceries and so on and so forth, assist them with medication, fair to the doctor's appointment, that kind of thing, so that someone cares.
There's also a back-to-school program.
When we start having these big award ceremony, and each year we'd identify students who are in need, students who have excelled, because we have different categories. We have the scholarships, we have the needy part of it, and different categories. So it has been a success. Last year, 2022, we awarded $594,000 to 22 students. So each year it kind of gets bigger, right? So that is one of our main programs. With the unemployed and unskilled women, if they come to us and we find that they're genuine and so on, and we can assist them to get a skill with funding, we also do that.
Yeah, we still go over some place down in some gullies to distribute packages to senior citizens. Sometimes you have sleepless night thinking about she's gonna get funds for students to go back to college or to pay CXCR, unskilled mothers and so forth.
Despite the challenges with transportation and just funding on a whole, the True United Sisters are looking to expand their service offerings.
We want to assist them to go to school in terms of financial assistance and so on, because they have some groups that people have forgotten, or they get very little help. So, you know, we have been doing what we can do with the resources that we have.
Ms. Sadhu is asking for your help.
That is what we'd really, really welcome, because we can't do anything. We have the vision, we have the ideas, we have everything apart from the finances. Please feel free to contact us at 876-421-0404. That's 876-421-0404, or we're located in Church Road, that's in Bogwalk in St. Catherine.
Time now for the Business Report with Danita Rodney.
Motorists will pay less for gas and diesel when they go to the pumps on Thursday, as state-owned oil refinery Petrojam says E1087, down by $1.30, will sell for $178.66 per liter, and a liter of E1090, down by $1.27, will sell for $184.77. With a decrease of 14 cents, automotive diesel oil will sell for $184.23 per liter. Ultra-low sulfur diesel will sell for $193.10 per liter, following a decrease of 33 cents. The price of kerosene increased by $4.50, will sell for $199.02. In the meantime, propane cooking gas, down 25 cents, will sell for $67.71 per liter, while butane moved up by 25 cents, will sell for $76.66. Remember that retailers will add their respective markups to the announced prices. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, November 8th, the US dollar sold for an average of $156.93. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $113.80. The pound sterling traded for $193.11, and the euro sold for $167.49. In GSE trading, the GSE index advanced by over 2,220 points. The junior market index declined by over 39 points. The combined market index advanced by over 1,728 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by over 4,070 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 110 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 52 declined, and 23 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Variable Preference, Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. The overall volume leaders were Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 6 million units, Cataras Limited, and the Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, the mutual fund market did not record any activity. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Emero Deposit Receipt was the sole security trading 26 shares. In regional business, Guyana is currently producing just below 400,000 barrels of oil per day in its first and only offshore field, but by the end of this year, the government anticipates that production will ramp up to almost 600,000 barrels of oil per day. Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh said on Monday that the country's growth projections are based on current proven oil reserves.
We currently have a single oil block in production, that is the Stabroek oil block. We have 2 FPSOs in production. In total, they produce between perhaps 360,000 barrels of oil per day, between 360 and 400,000 barrels of oil per day. By the end of this year, we will be producing about 560,000 barrels of oil per day. By 2027, we'll be producing 1.2 million barrels of oil per day. And by the end of the current decade, we are perhaps going to be producing in the vicinity of about 1.5, 1.6 million barrels of oil per day. That does not take into account any upward revision in the proven reserves and in the production trajectory, which becomes particularly relevant when you consider that we recently put out a number of additional blocks for exploration by way of a public international tender. And we received a number of tenders, including from several of the oil majors from around the world. And the way that transaction was structured, it is designed to incentivize accelerated exploration, field development, and therefore accelerated production.
In international business, Wall Street eked out small gains to extend their recent winning streaks as investors weighed Federal Reserve officials' recent comments for signals on the path of interest rates and focused on the direction of Treasury yields.
The Dow, however, shed roughly 0.1%, while the S&P 500 and NASDAQ each added about that much. Treasury yields have retreated sharply since the benchmark 10-year Treasury note topped 5% in late October, as comments from Fed officials and softer labor data led to growing expectations the central bank had reached the end of its rate hiking cycle. That has fueled a rally for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, but Anna Rathbun, Chief Investment Officer at CBIZ Investment Advisory Services, says the stock market gains could, ironically, prompt the Fed to raise rates again.
The problem is that when yields fall and markets go up because everyone is happy that the Fed may be done raising rates, that actually loosens liquidity conditions. Yields fall and stocks go up, it means the liquidity is getting much better. That is the very opposite of what the Fed is trying to achieve, which is to tighten liquidity conditions. So actually, these market rejoicings actually increase the chance that the Fed will raise rates in December. So that is how this is a catch-22. In some ways, we have to tell the markets, don't react that way, then the Fed can accomplish what they're trying to achieve.
In market data for oil prices edged up on Thursday as markets shrugged off deflationary indicators in China and looked for further clues on the status of demand from the world's 2 biggest oil consumers. Brent crude futures rose 67 cents to $80.21, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 56 cents at $75.89 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, as Barbados' tourism industry moves closer to 2019 figures, tourism officials are focused on growth and increasing traffic to the island. Minister of Tourism Ian Gooding-Edgehill says they are concentrating on existing markets, including Canada, the US, and the UK, as well as new and emerging markets, and forging crucial partnerships with British Airways and Virgin Atlantic.
British Airways and Virgin Atlantic will continue to maintain services into Barbados. Effective last October the 29th, British Airways added additional 5 flights per week for the winter season from London Gatwick. This means that we are now operating with 12 flights per week for the 2023-24 winter season. British Airways also confirmed to us, and this is great news for the destination, that their newest Dreamliner 787-10 aircraft will be flying to Barbados. That aircraft will be deployed on March the 31st. That will help us through the summer as well. That therefore means that we'll have an additional 10% increase in our summer capacity. The summer campaign will have the desired effect of twinning that with airlift to ensure that we can get additional traffic to Barbados for the summer season. It's going to be, obviously, in a world post-COVID, it's tough. I'm not going to give the impression it's easy. It's very tough, but we are trying to position ourselves as a destination to ensure that we bring growth to the Barbados market.
We've been busy from the beginning to the end of every day. In the background, you can hear some music. There are other stands that are partying because today is day 3 of the exhibition, and for many of them, they've already finished their meetings. I can tell you we are going to be here until the last bell rings this evening because the destination is in demand and the meetings will continue. We have to see this through to the end, and we have meetings right through. So I think our partners, based on all the feedback, are very happy as well with the connections they've been able to make.
As Venezuela seems impatient to await the decision of the International Court of Justice to resolve a long-standing boundary dispute with Guyana, moves have been made by Venezuela to hold a 3rd December referendum that some believe could be a means to enable the use of military aggression against Guyana.
At stake is the western 2/3 of Guyana, known as Essequibo, an area that was given to Guyana since the 19th century, but Venezuela believes it has a claim on the area much earlier. With the threat of military force being used by Venezuela, the Caribbean community issued an official statement to Venezuela. For St. Kitts and Nevis, both countries enjoy diplomatic relations, and for Venezuela, we celebrated recently the 40th year of diplomatic relations. When Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew was asked to provide St. Kitts and Nevis' official stance on the dispute, it was clear that the country's position aligned with the regional grouping on the CARICOM.
We have relations with both Guyana and we have relations also with Venezuela. Just recently, we celebrated the 40th anniversary. Our position is that this region is a region of peace. And as I've said before, that we will do all we can to conquer this region remains a region of peace. And so I know that discussions are taking place. I am not in a position to speak to all the specifics of those discussions. But the thrust of those discussions is to make sure that we remain a zone of peace and that the best position is reached to ensure that. That is where we are at with respect to our position with Venezuela and Guyana. And I think, well, I know the foreign minister mentioned it in his statement when he spoke at the ceremony, small ceremony, to commemorate the 40th year of establishment with respect to our relations between Venezuela and St. Kitts and Nevis. So that is our position, that we'll continue to make sure that we put our position forward and help in the process that this area remains a zone of peace and the best position is reached with respect to these two nations. And we're not going to compromise.
The CARICOM statement noted, however, that, quote, the referendum proposed by Venezuela has no validity, bearing, or standing in international law in relation to this controversy, end quote. It is believed that a successful referendum will undermine peace and security in the Caribbean region. Glenn Batt reporting for SK Newsline.
In international news, Hollywood actors are celebrating the end of their months-long strike after their union SAG-AFTRA reached a tentative deal with major studios valued at more than $1 billion. More in this report.
Union power! Union power!
Hollywood actors were celebrating the end of their months-long strike in the early hours of Thursday after their union SAG-AFTRA reached a tentative deal with major studios valued at more than $1 billion. The second of two industry strikes this year took 118 days to resolve as performers demanded higher pay in the streaming TV era and protection from being replaced by AI-generated digital replicas.
We have a lot of our strike captains on the line that have been close to eviction and have had their only meal of the day be while they're striking. So it has not been easy.
It's such a feeling of joy and of triumph over adversity and not quitting.
SAG-AFTRA said the agreement involves a new 3-year contract that includes raises in minimum salaries and a new streaming participation bonus. It also provides protections against unauthorized use of images generated by artificial intelligence. The union's chief negotiator, Duncan Crabtree Ireland, said the deal will make a long-term difference for actors.
That's by far the largest set of gains we've ever achieved in a contract negotiation. And there's really important protections built into this contract around things such as artificial intelligence protections, and also including making sure that now there is a stream of revenue coming off of the streaming business that can actually sustain middle-class actors who are trying to make a career in streaming.
He also praised Union President Fran Drescher for her courage and compassion during the strike. Drescher, the star of 90s sitcom The Nanny, celebrated on Instagram that, "We did it, the billion-plus dollar deal." SAG-AFTRA said its negotiating committee unanimously backed the agreement with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which represents Walt Disney, Netflix, and other media companies. The alliance said Wednesday's agreement represented a new paradigm and that it, quote, looks forward to the industry resuming the work of telling great stories. The union's national board will consider the agreement on Friday and said it would release further details afterwards. The breakthrough means Hollywood can ramp up to full production for the first time since May, once union members vote to ratify the deal in the coming weeks. The Writers Guild of America went on strike for almost 5 months starting early May, while the actors began picketing in mid-July. The non-profit Milken Institute estimates the combined strikes cost California more than $6 billion in lost output.
In sports, the West Indies women's A team came up against Pakistan's women's A in the Tri-Series finals as the Thailand emerging women's team missed out after 2 losses.
Pakistan Women A won the toss at the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore and invited the West Indies to bat, and the regional side settled nicely with a solid first wicket stand of 59, which started with Quiana Joseph and Shabika Gajnabi, before Gajnabi retired with a score on 8, and Rashada Williams came in. This ended in the 11th over when Joseph departed for 35. Gajnabi returned and fell in the very next over for 10. And when Captain Williams was dismissed in the 15th over for 18 with a score on 71, the rails came off the West Indies innings. At the end of 20 overs, their score was 97 for 6, with only 4 batters getting to double figures. Ramin Shamim and Quimia Sohail were Pakistan's best bowlers, both taking 2 for 17 in 4 overs, although the West Indies had early success in defence of the small total. When Ayman Fatima was out in the 3rd over for 5 with a score on 10, the host cruised to victory. Pakistan reached the target in 15.5 overs for the loss of only 2 wickets. Shawal Zulfiqar top scored with 39 not out, while Gul Feroza contributed 23 as Pakistan Women's A team won the Tri-Series final by 8 wickets. Wayne Cunningham, TTT Sport.
The TNT Red Force are into the final of the CG Regional Super 50 after defeating the Guyana Harpy Eagles in semi-final 1 at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy.
TNT elected to field first, and it was a fruitful decision as they had Guyana reeling on 49 for 6. Terence Hines snatched 4 wickets for 15 runs from 4 overs, being the main destroyer. Yannick Carrier assisted with 2 for 14. Sherfin Rutherford topped the scorecard with 30 as Guyana was dismissed for a below par 105. In response, the Red Force took full advantage of the low total, patiently moving across the line in 27.4 overs. The informed captain Darren Bravo stroked a well-paced 53 not out, while Keon Otley assisted with 35. 107 for 4 at the close, TNT winning by 6 wickets. They now await the winners of the semi-final 2 between the Leeward Islands and Barbados.
That's news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.